Welcome to another submodule. Here we are going to talk about something that is present in every classroom, every single day. Yet we rarely pause to think about it consciously. Pedagogy. We often focus on syllabus, lesson plans, worksheets, and assessments. But the real question is, how are students actually learning in our classrooms? That is what pedagogy helps us understand. By the end of this submodule, you should be able to define pedagogy as how teaching enables learning beyond just content delivery. Identify everyday classroom actions that reflect strong or weak pedagogical choices. Explain the relationship between pedagogy, learning outcomes, and assessment. Differentiate between teacher as giver of knowledge and teacher as facilitator of learning. And reflect on your own classroom practices and recognize small pedagogical changes that can improve student learning. Before we define pedagogy, let us reflect for a moment. Think of a teacher from your own school days, a teacher from whom you truly understood things. Pause and remember, what did that teacher do differently? Was it only the content they taught, or was it the way they taught? Most of us realize it was the way they taught. That way is pedagogy. You remember that teacher not because they completed the syllabus, but because they made you think, participate, and understand. That is the power of pedagogy. Pedagogy is the art and science of how a teacher enables learning. It is not what you teach, it is how you teach. Pedagogy is visible in methods, interactions, strategies, and decisions you take in the class. Even small classroom actions reflect your pedagogy. Let's understand how. Good pedagogy is not complicated. It is visible when a teacher asks why instead of only what, checks whether students are thinking, allows student to try, answer, and even make mistakes. These may look like small things, but they create deep learning. Let us now understand the relationship between pedagogy, learning outcomes, and assessment. This slide shows a very important idea. Pedagogy, learning outcomes, and assessment are not separate parts of teaching. They are deeply connected. At the top is pedagogy, how we teach. On one side are learning outcomes, what children actually learn. On the other side is assessment, how we understand their learning. When pedagogy improves, learning outcomes improve. When we assess learning carefully, we discover what children have understood and where they are struggling. That assessment can help us change and improve our pedagogy. So this becomes a continuous cycle. Better pedagogy leads to better learning, and better assessment informs better teaching. All three work together to support meaningful learning in the classroom. Assessment is not just for marks, it is feedback for teaching. Now let's understand through some scenarios. Here we see both teachers are teaching the same topic, fractions. Teacher A explains the definition, writes questions on the board, students copy, and a test happens at the end. Teacher B uses a roti or pizza example, asks students to show fractions using objects, and encourages discussion. The content is the same, the time spent is the same, but the pedagogy is different. In one class, students listen and copy. In the other, students think, talk, and explore. And that makes all the difference. Because understanding does not come from hearing a definition. It comes from experiencing the concept. So the real question is, in which class will students understand better? Think yourself. For a long time, we believed that a teacher's role was to give knowledge. The teacher explained points, students listened, and learning was expected to happen. But effective pedagogy asks us to shift this belief. Today, the teacher is not just a giver of knowledge, but a facilitator of learning, a designer of experiences, A facilitator asks questions, encourages discussion, observes thinking, and supports students as they explore. This shift from telling to guiding is at the heart of learner-centered classrooms. A facilitator asks more and tells less, observes students' thinking, guides discussion, encourages participation, understands when to encourage a child to think independently, when to promote collaboration to solve a problem, and supports learning but does not dominate the class. When students don't learn, it is often not a content problem, it is a pedagogy problem. Let's understand how pedagogical choices can impact learning outcomes. In this classroom, the pedagogical choice is only lecture. The teacher explains the concept, students sit quietly, and learning is expected to happen through listening. But when students only listen, they become passive recipients of information. They may hear the explanation, but they are not thinking, discussing, or connecting the idea to their own understanding. This is a very common classroom practice, and it often feels like teaching is happening, but in reality, students are present yet not actively listening or learning. This classroom looks very active. The teacher is writing detailed notes on the board, and the students are busy copying every word into their notebooks. It feels like serious work is happening, but notice where the students' attention is: on writing fast, not on thinking about the concept. Their eyes are on the notebook and not on the idea being taught. When copying becomes the main activity, understanding takes a backseat. Students complete pages, but learning remains incomplete. Here, the pedagogical choice is asking questions. Instead of only explaining, the teacher pauses and invites students to think. A simple question changes the classroom dynamic. Students look up, reflect, and begin forming responses. They are no longer passive listeners, they are active participants in learning. When teachers ask questions, students don't just hear the concept, they process it, connect it, and respond with their own thinking. The pedagogical choice here is using real life examples. When the teacher connects the concept to something familiar, students instantly relate. They don't struggle to imagine the idea, they can see it, feel it, and understand it. Real life examples make learning meaningful, memorable, and easy to grasp. The pedagogical choice here is group work and discussion. When students talk to each other, they don't just repeat information, they explain ideas in their own words. They learn from peers, clarify doubts, and build understanding together. Discussion turns the classroom into a space where everyone is thinking and learning. The pedagogical choice here is role play and storytelling. When children act, imagine, experience concepts, learning becomes real and memorable. They are not just listening to histories or stories, they are living them. This makes learning enjoyable, meaningful, and much more concrete. The pedagogical choice here is allowing children to explore and make mistakes. When students feel safe to try, test, and even fail, real learning happens. They become curious, confident, and willing to think. A classroom where mistakes are allowed is a classroom where learning grows. The pedagogical choice here is inspired by Jodo Gyan. Children learn using materials, discuss ideas with peers, and build understanding together. The teacher does not lecture, but facilitates learning. Students don't receive knowledge, they construct it themselves. In a traditional classroom, the teacher explains and students copy in silence. In a Jodo Gyan classroom, students explore materials, discuss ideas, and learn together. There is movement, discussion, and multiple ways to solve a problem. Same topic, but a different learning experience. Jodo Gyan improves learning because students are actively thinking. They learn from peers, use material, and connect ideas visually. They are not afraid to make mistakes. They learn from them. When pedagogy is strong, better learning outcomes follow naturally. Pedagogy is not a theory. It is visible in the small choices you make every minute in class. Think of yesterday's class. Which pedagogical choice did you make? Did your students talk? Did you check their understanding? Did you connect to real life? Happy thinking.